terms Hispanic and Latino refer to an ethnicity. The U.S. Census Bureau defines being Hispanic as being a member of an ethnicity rather than a member of a particular race. And thus, people who are members of this group may also be members of any race. Latinx being a term for a group of identity used to describe individuals in the United States who have Latin American roots. Other names for this social category include Hispanic, Latino, Latina or Latino, Latina, Latine, and Latina exclusively. This is the official definition that Wikipedia gives the to be largest minority group in the country. It's 2023 and we still have to remind people of this. Not to say we are just the set to be largest minority in the country who get regularly accused of stealing jobs from other Americans who don't actually want those jobs, or being perpetrated into horrific stereotypes for the sake of American entertainment. But in the midst of light, there is a motive that the majority of the Latinx community shares that is something that not even a one-sided narrative above it all can write down. Hey guys, welcome back. We are finally here at the last chapter of this mini YouTube series, and for those who don't know me, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Natalie Feliciano. I am an aspiring filmmaker, a self-published writer on Amazon, and a current college student at Brightpoint Community College, in which today, as part of this 5-episode mini YouTube series, and I hope this is not the first episode that you're clicking on, because if not, you need to go back and watch episode 1 right here in the link, I hope. With this mini YouTube series, as part of the Mellon's Research Fellowship Program at my community college, I will be presenting Behind the Lack of Latinx Representation in Hollywood, in which today is the final chapter of this YouTube mini-series. I will send off this mini YouTube series in this last episode with a revelation and a contribution on how to finally address the Latino disconnect in Hollywood, in which I'll be taking from the articles The Latino Media Gap and The Latino Disconnect by Francis Integron, scholar and researcher at Columbia University, to discuss the solutions that the Latinx community can take action with to effectively combat the many issues that our community has with the media and how our stories are told in Hollywood. Warning, the following contains many spoilers. At the end of the Valiente screenplay, we see Victoria and May come to the conclusion to start a mini-series on their own YouTube channel, thanks to the inspirations of these famous filmmakers in the world of Valiente and the Virginia Screenwriting Festival panel. These two events weren't the only thing that inspired Victoria to flip the tables in order to bring justice to her own career. She was introduced to this mini YouTube series. You know what? I am just gonna take a break for a second, and I am just gonna finally lay the law down and explain how her self-conscious plays this huge role in the story once and for all. Here we go. Now that we established the reasoning, let's go back into the main focus of this video especially, and actually dive into what Victoria heard all the way back in 2010 and the solutions that these articles and I will provide to you in order to help all of you guys understand how we can combat the lack of Latinx representation. Gosh, I know you guys must be so confused right now. This University of Columbia article dips into the overall society impacts and experiences that the Latino community shares as a whole in the United States, as it greatly dives into the issue of the absence of Latino participation in these forums, why they have been greatly excluded from these media forums, and creates evidential reasoning as to why the media should place more Latino talent on and behind screens in order to gain more consumer power. For example, in the opener of the research article, Negron explains Latinos are not only avid media consumers, they have made important contributions to the film and television industries, and currently overdecked as digital communicators and online content creators. Moreover, they are watchful of their image. When programs or films are perceived to have anti-Latino content, advocacy groups and consumers target studios and networks with increasingly effective campaigns. Simultaneously, programs and movies. She then demonstrates the direct impact of the limitation of platform space that is held against Latinx talent in the section of finding listings of 7 different evidential reasonings why Hollywood is very much contributing to the problem of exclusion of Latinx talent roles in movies and TV shows, with the following findings. Number 1, Latino participation in programming and movies is extremely limited. In general, Latino media participation has modestly increased since the 1940s, but per capita, it is the same or lower than it was in prior decades in major categories. 2, Latino men have disappeared as leading actors, though the percentage of Latinas and Afro-Latino actors is rising. In 2010 to 2013 period, Latino men did not perform in any leading roles in the top 10 films and TV shows and contributed fewer than 3% of supporting television and film actor appearances. In addition, while there are few Afro-Latino stars in prior eras, the percentage of prominent Afro-Latino actors significantly increased. From 2010 to 2013, Afro-Latino performers represented 18.2% of Latino film actors and 16.7% of Latino TV actors, although they were generally confined to supporting roles in both media. 3, Latinos are still missing behind the scenes. The vast majority of the industry supports diversity policies, yet the main strategy employed by most media companies over the last decades, the creation of the diversity exclusive positions in department, has been relatively effective in increasing diversity in both creative and leadership pools. Stereotypes restrict opportunities and perceptions. On television and movies, Latinos continue to represent primarily as criminals, law enforcers, and cheap labor. From 2012 to 2013, 17.7% of Latino film characters and 24.2% of TV characters were linked to crime, a considerable increase from 1994 when it was only 6% on television. News is worse than fiction. Stories about Latinos constitute less than 1% of the news and media coverage, and the majority of these stories feature Latinos as lawbreakers. Moreover, Latino participation in front and behind the camera is extraordinarily low. Only 1.8% of news producers are Latinos. Latino content and audiences expand viewership. When possible, Latino media consumers reward shows and films that feature compelling Latino talent and storylines with high ratings and revenue. This is evident in the success of the Lifetime television show Devious Maids, the radio program Cohen and Martinez on NPR, and the Universal Studio movie franchise The Fast and the Furious. Latinos also reject and organize against extreme stereotypical representations, as in the case of the campaign against the canceled script shows like Rob and Work It and the news program Low Dubs Tonight. Consumer pressure creates impact. Latino consumers' pressure is increasingly effective in bringing about change by using the internet and social media. From 1968 to 1989, 63% of Latino media campaigns aimed at television shows, advertisements, or movies prevailed in all or part of their goals. And Latinos drive new media production and initiatives. As Latinos continue to shut out of traditional media, their creativity is migrating to the internet, blurring the distinction between producer and consumer. Along with these findings, she offers 8 solutions in the article to close the media gap, starting with number 1, major networks, PBS, and studio leaders. Hire diverse top leadership with effective decision-making power in all positions, including the areas of business, policy, and content. Empower diversity executives to ensure that the diversity of policies are widely implemented and support talent engagement in producing Latino or other diverse media. Number 2, diversity executives. Develop an initiative and programs to employ the existing deep and underutilized talent pool, as well as to scout, highlight, and recruit new talent in traditional grounds like universities and new media spaces such as YouTube. In addition, generate transparent annual reports regarding diversity hiring practices and the result of diversity training programs. And number 3, executive producers and entertainment. Promote open casting and diverse hiring, form partnerships with diversity programs, and lead in the development of new talent and storylines. Advertisers. Reward programming that attracts high ratings by featuring non-stereotypical Latino characters and storylines. And number 5, news executives. Advise editorial personnel to broaden Latino coverage and expand sources of experts, guests, and commentators to include more Latino talent. Number 6, media advocates. Generate research on the new trends and identify game-changing challenges. Similarly, increase the use of social media to engage a greater number of consumers who can mobilize quickly across multiple media markets. Number 7, Latino consumers. Effectively communicate both critical and supportive perspectives on existing programs, movies, and companies. Provide alternative visions for Latino representation through content production and consumer campaigns. Number 8, new media companies. Invest in young talent working in the new media as early as possible. Support the creation of widely accessible digital tools to facilitate communication between Latino media consumers, advocates, and producers. Another research article written by Feliciano-Soto gives us a persuasive essay driving into the issue of the disconnect surrounding Latino representation and programming in Hollywood. Despite Latinos being the greatest group contributing to the highest record movie sales in history and being the sole factor of the monopoly of companies like Disney and HBO, these famous Hollywood production studios failed to give the minority group one piece of fair representation in their programming. Described by Negron, particular interest in a new monopolistic media landscape characterized by massive mergers between cable telecom and content providers, and who has affected Latinos over a number of different categories. Despite this, Negron is one of the first articles I have in research to offer solutions with their evidence of the lack of Latino representation and how to fight these mergers. She breaks them down in 3 categories, offering sound solutions to combat the problem that is only up to Hollywood to take on the initiative. Here are the 7 recommendations to better connect with Latinos. For company and creative leadership. Number 1, develop a comprehensive and enforceable plan to significantly diverse leadership and career positions, as well to expand opportunities for Latino-owned companies over the next 5 years. Number 2, recruit from diverse, experienced, and underutilized Latino talent pools. Inform writers, producers, and directors regarding the diversity of the Latino experience to avoid persistent stereotypical representation. Number 3, create pipelines of opportunity for Latino leaders and content producers and Spanish language media to participate in the production and creation of English language media. For Latino advocates and consumers. Number 4, actively participate in public debates concerning media constellation at both the local and national level. Number 5, boost organizational captivity and expand coalition networks by using digital tools and social media. Number 6, expand in the pursuit of research and advocacy to include online content production companies. For government entries. Number 7, limit the number of scope media mergers, as well as increase support and captivity building for advocates, organizations, and consumers to participate in debates, legislation, and hearings that concern media and telecommunication policy and mergers. I don't want to sound biased, but these are pretty base solutions and evidence that we can learn from in order to inspire not only the Latinx community, but other communities as well to fight back and create a seat at the table for themselves at the biggest influential platform in the world, Hollywood.
And if you're not down with God, Philly's got 2 words for you! It doesn't matter what you think!
With that, mis amigos, I hope I, some boring 20-year-old college student that knows absolutely nothing about life, was able to help you understand the topic at hand. Even though I have been on this journey to learn how to become part of the same industry that I've been bashing for the entirety of the series, yet has conducted months and months of effective research to effectively make substantial points and raise awareness for this cause, and not out of despite, but out of constructive criticism. In order to help make change and in order to help build a seat at the table for our community, and most importantly, to help audiences around the world understand how to make change and how to make it permanent through the eyes of a young Latinx girl with the dream to tell stories with Latinx protagonists without any repercussions, and who can freely be any character that they want to be, whether that's wizards, superheroes, assassins. I think I even wrote a story about a struggling actress at one point. In order to have a better tomorrow, as always. Thank you for being part of this mini-series YouTube series journey. Thank you for being a part of this YouTube mini-series. I'm Natalie Feliciano. Please follow me on all these platforms listed below in the description. And see you next time for my next academic project. Bye!